Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening.
A pleasant day to everyone. We are here today to discuss to you about the confidence intervals for population mean. But first, what is confidence interval?
Confidence intervals are constructed from a sample data, which are a range of values that is likely includes the population parameters at some confidence level.
It displays the probability that a parameter will fall between a pair of values around the mean.
And it is commonly used for hypothesis testing.
Now that we already know what and how confidence intervals used, let us move forward on how to find the confidence intervals of a given set of problems.
The confidence intervals formula is expressed as confidence intervals is equal to sample mean plus or minus the margin of error, wherein the margin of error can be computed by the z alpha divided by 2 and multiplied to the quantity of standard deviation divided by the square root of n.
To have a better understanding with the formula, let us apply it to a given example.
Example: scores on an exam are normally distributed with a population standard deviation of 5.6. A random sample of 40 scores on an exam has a mean of 32. Estimate the population mean with a 80% confidence, B 90% confidence.
Let us first solve for the letter A. As we have read in the example, there are given values such as the standard deviation is 5.6, n is 40, and the given sample mean is 32. The first step is to substitute these values to the formula, which will give us confidence interval is equal to 32 plus or minus z alpha divided by 2 and multiplied to the quantity of 5.6 divided by the square root of 40.
As we can see, the missing value for the formula is the margin of error, which can be solved by dividing the z alpha by 2 and then multiplying it to the quantity 5.6 divided by the square root of 40. In order to complete the formula for the margin of error, we have to solve first for the alpha by subtracting 80% to 100%, or expressed as 1 minus 0.8, which results to 0.2. Then we divide it by 2, which will give us 0.1. The z value of 0.1 in the number of tables is closest to the value of negative 1.28. Since whether it is a negative or a positive, the value will still be the same. But in solving for the confidence intervals, we will use its positive form, which is positive 1.28. Therefore, we can say that the margin of error is equal to 1.28 multiplied to the quantity of 5.6 divided by the square root of 40, which will give us 1.13.
Now that the formula is already complete, we can solve for the lower limit, which is 32 minus 1.13 equals 30.87.
And the upper limit, which is 32 plus 1.13 equal 33.13.
This means that we are 80% confident that the population mean score is between 30.87 and 33.13 point in symbol. The population mean is greater than 30.87 but less than 33.13 point.
Let us now solve for the letter B.
Just like what we did on letter A, we will first substitute the given values to the formula, which will give us confidence interval is equal to 32 plus or minus z alpha divided by 2, and multiplied by the quantity of 5.6 divided by the square root of 40.
In order to complete the formula of the margin of error, we have to solve first for the alpha by subtracting 90% to 1, expressed as 1 minus 0.90, which results to 0.1. Then we divide it by 2, which will give us 0.05. The z value of 0.05 in the number of table is equal close to negative 1.64 and negative 1.65. So we can say that its value is 1.645.
And since, whether it is a negative or a positive, the value would still be the same in solving for the confidence intervals, we will use its positive form, which is positive 1.645.
Therefore, we can say that the margin of error is equal to 1.645 multiplied to the quantity of 5.6 divided by the square root of 40, which will give us 1.46.
Now that the formula is already complete, we can solve for the lower limit, which is 32 minus 1.46, which will give us the result of 30.54.
And the upper limit, which is 32 plus 1.46 equals to 33.46.
This means that we are 90% confident that the population mean score is between 30.54 and 33.46.
In symbol, the population mean is greater than 30.54 but less than 33.46.